All right. I think we are live. So can you quickly confirm in the chat, guys, if I'm audible and if my screen is also visible to you? All right. Hello, everyone. How are you all? Just quickly confirm me in the chat, guys, if I'm perfectly audible. All right. Hello, Aniket. Hello, Krishna. Nandini. Yash. All right. All right. Audible. Cool. Great, great, great. Hello, Anjali. Hello, Ansh, Kashish, everyone. How are you all doing? Hi, Tribhuvan, Anand, Trish, Abuzar. Everyone says hi. Hello, everyone. I hope you are having a good time. All right. Everyone says hi. So, how are you all doing? All right. So, as you know, we'll have to wait for a few minutes, 1 or 2 more minutes, so the people can join in and we can start. By the time you can let us know that, how are you, like, are you enjoying this boot camp or not, right? And I can see some really, some recurring people, right? Some audience that are there with us from the very first day of this boot camp. And this is, by the way, day 3 of the boot camp. Yeah. Yeah, I can see so many people. About the PPT. Yeah, hi, Venu. I think the PPT is uploaded in the description, isn't it? So I think maybe okay. I'll let the note. I'll let the team know about it. I think maybe most probably it should have been there. But anyways, if it is not there, don't worry. We'll get this updated. Good evening, everyone. Yeah. So we'll start in few minutes, right? All right. That's really good to hear that you guys are enjoying it. And as I've told earlier, also, guys, that we'll be having a giveaway, right? That whole live quiz is going to be there also. Although the target was around 12k subscriber, but we are like really close to it, right? So let's see if we can get this done in today's class. Anyways, like the giveaway is starting from tomorrow session, right? From the day 4, right? So I hope you will enjoy that also, right? And also, like if you guys are new over here, right, in case you don't know what we are, like what we do already and all, right? So for that, in case, you can check out our website, right? And you can also check out our our YouTube channel. We have been doing these boot camps, right, around development, around JavaScript, around ML, about projects on ML. Okay. For those who have attended the class but were not able to attend the, were not able to mark their attendance, that's totally okay. I don't think like that's something you need to be much worried about, right? Because the main thing should be the learning that you are getting. And second thing is that, yeah, and second thing is that don't worry about all these such things, right? Because we know few people like may not be able to join few other sessions, but they view the recordings and all these things. So for that, we will also have a, what do you say, a quick quiz at the end of the session, right? At the end of the day, like day 7, right? In that, we will do one thing, that we'll have a simple few MCQ based question, maybe 10 to 15 question, and whosoever performs like good in that, good in as in like there will be a certain threshold that could be 60% marks or 40% out of that marks out of that. So whosoever get that thing done, right, they will be awarded with the certificate of completion. Don't worry on that point. All right. So I think that's we are good, right? I think we should start the session. quickly give me a thumbs up, right? Quickly give me a raise of hand if you guys feel that we should start the session now. All right. All right. I can see some thumbs ups. Really cool. All right. I think we should start. Chalo then. All right. So a very quick recap of whatever we were doing earlier, right? We were just looking into how C is useful for us, how C can help us into getting started with our programming and knowing the fundamentals, right? Yeah. So in that series, right, we did that in the very first class. In the second class, we did see how we can take inputs, how we can take outputs, what are format specifiers, what are the data types and all, right? I'll quickly also open up my online C++ compiler, sorry, online C compiler, right? Yeah, so that I can quickly show you about the code and all. Yes, that was our area, right? That was our war zone wherein we were doing all of the stuff. All right. So I'll quickly run you through the data types that we were using and all. Just give me a minute. I'll share my first day of PPT, wherein we were having all these things, right? All right. So that was all about the compilers, all about the languages, all things. Major thing that we were running through is this one, right? I hope all of you have seen this, right? So basically I told you like one silly example I've given you about what are variables. First of all, right, variables are kind of a containers, right, wherein we'll be storing any part of information. It could be your name, it could be age, it could be any numbers, any operation you'll be doing throughout your whole program. You have to store some information in variables, right? That was the first concept that we have discussed. Let me also write that quickly over here. Right, first thing was about variables, variable discussion we did. Right, these are simply containers. Now I told you that whenever you'll be creating a variable, right, or whenever you'll be thinking to store anything in your whole program, right, so you would need to have data types also, right? Data types are kind of the type of data, as the name suggests, right? What is the type of your data, right? And basically we have divided them into three sections, right? Three broad categories we have divided them into. First being your primitive data types, right? These are the simplest type of data types, right? These are the fundamental type of data type that we had. Then we had derived ones, then we have user defined ones, right? From primitive ones, we have like extended their functionality, right? To make them a derived one, right? Extended their functionality as in, suppose in character, right? Or maybe in integer, you can only store one number, right? I hope you have seen this in the last class that you can only store one numbers into or one character into them. But what if I talk about arrays, right? What if I talk about this, or what if I talk about strings? So these are what? These are just like characters will be there, integers will be there, but a group of characters and a group of integers will be there in that situations, right? So these are basically your derived one. Don't worry if you are not getting the idea about derived one, if you feel like we have not seen this example, right? This is right now for not our discussion, right? We'll definitely take that in the upcoming classes. We have a session on array, we have a session on strings also, right? So don't worry about that point. Next up was the user defined one. These are more complex version, or these are the more advanced versions of your derived data types. Yeah, these are more advanced version of your derived data types, right? In this, not only one functionality is extended. In fact, the collection of different primitive ones or collection of different derived ones are being used in this particular user defined ones, right? So that was the broad categorization. But as discussed earlier, our main scope is around the primitive ones only, right? So we'll have to look into the primitive ones as of now. In primitive ones, we have discussed each of them in a depth manner, right? We have seen like what does a character do, what does an integer do, what does a float and double and void do, right? So I'll quickly run you through over them also one more time, right? So basically you can see a character, as the name suggests, is used for one single character, right? Character could be a alphabet also, character could be a number also, character could be any symbol also, right? It could be this also, it could be asterisk, it could be hash, anything could be a character, right? So that's how you you'll use your character data type, right? I'll go into the demonstration also. I'll quickly show you the code about that also. Next was about the integer. Integer was nothing but integer was a number that is like not that does not contain any decimal point, or that does not contain any larger values. That was basically our integer, right? Simple integral values were there in the integers, right? Next was about the float. So float was basically being used for the floating point numbers. Floating point number means that it will have decimals, it will have all these negative numbers and all these other things will be there in the floating point numbers, right? That was something that we were discussing in the float data type. Next up was the double, right? So double was just an extended version of your integer and float, right? In case you want to store larger very large number, right, that is not accommodable inside an integer, inside a float, right? In that scenarios you will be using a double. Yeah, exactly, right? Rakesh, you have got this right? You can get this done in that particular double data type. Next up is basically void one, right? So basically, I mean, some people are dicey about it, right? Few people say that this is not practically a data type. Few people will say that, how can we use this or not? But in technical terms, it is a data type, right? Why it is a data type is because, suppose you don't want to pass anything, you don't want to return anything out of any other thing, right? In that scenario, you'll be using a void. In implementation, right, suppose you will say that I know how to create an integer type, I know how to create a character type data, but I don't know how to create a void data type. So that is because, you cannot use a void data type to define some values, right? You cannot do that, but this can be used in functions implementation. This can be used in some other implementations, right? We'll talk more about that, right, once we go into the function definition, once we go into all this other stuff, right? So that being said, right, that was a quick summary of what we discussed over here. Right. Next up was about basically inputs and basically outputs, right? So I'll quickly go through my code, right? My code area wherein I'll be writing all of this stuff, right? And I'll be trying to give you a quick demonstration of that, right? First of all, about variables, right? Variables. Variables may, suppose you want to create a variable of integer type, you write int, then you have to name a variable, right? So I have discussed this earlier. What is the conventions for naming a variable, right? I'm not going to go over there again. Suppose int age, again, the simple example I'm taking, right? Maybe let's say that we are 10 years of age. This is how you can define a variable. And not only this, any character type you can define. Again, what should we take? Again, let's take a flag. Let's say that it's a y, right? Something like this, you can define your variables. Next was around, how would you print something? How would you take some inputs out of it, right? So for printing part, you have something called as a printf statement, right? Printf function, right? Which is basically input, which is basically inbuilt. And this thing is being provided us using this first line of code, that is stdio.h, right? Inside this, you can print anything, whatever you want to print, right? Inside this double quotes, and that will be printed in a normal manner. That was simple thing. But suppose in case you want to print, any variable name, in that situation, we had something called as format specifiers, right? Format specifiers, we have seen format specifiers of three categorization. First being, if you want to print any integral value, right? And in case you want to print any integral value, what would you do? You would do %d. Sorry, you would do %d for integral value, right? In case you want to print any floating point values, you would use %f for floating point values, right? I'll also even write it integral values, right? And next was for the characters, right? For characters, what would you do? You would do %c. That was something about it, right? And once you are there, right? Yeah, once you are there, you know, right? How would you take input also? Input is exactly the same, just that a function will be changed. Yeah, a function will be changed only. The change function will be scanf, right? Function will be scanf. And in that function, right, obviously, since you are trying to, suppose you want to take integers as an input, right? What would you do? Again, you will use that format specifier. %d you will take, right, for an integral value, %c for a character value, %f for a floating point value. But the only difference is going to be, let me define a new variable. Let's call this as num, right? Yes. Now, in case you want to take this as an input, you have to write as per send before that. Just that is the only difference, right? Yes, that's the only difference. And now this has a particular reason, right? Why we write as per send this. I'll just explain this in very simple words. I would say that whenever you want to take any input, right? Suppose this is a variable name, right? This is a variable name, but you want to take this input in that memory address of the variable, right? Wherever is the number variable located. So how would you do it? You would just have to write as per send to tell that, yeah, I want to place this value in the address or in the base location of this variable. That's it. Yes, exactly. Right. So that was all summation about the last class, right? In the last class also, we were also discussing about what do you say about operators, right? I hope you remember me saying, giving you examples around modulo operator and all these operators. Let's quickly continue that discussion, right? Obviously, arithmetics are done. I will not take that. Right? That was done in the last class only. Arithmetic. Yeah, arithmetic was obviously or plus minus multiplication division and all these other things, right? That was done. I'll not have a look on that. Now comes the relational one, right? Relational is also very obvious, by the way, right? Relational is basically setting up a relation if it is larger than, less than, smaller than, this or that, right? Larger than. I hope all of you have done basically like primary mathematics, right? You know how to use these greater than, less than, right? And greater than equals to, less than equals to, some symbols, right? And obviously equality operator. Now, whenever you want to check something, right? You want to check that if this value is equal to that or not, how would you check it? You would check using double equals to, right? This is basically comparison operator over here. Right? That was about it. I hope I can say this, like all of you are comfortable till this point about the relational operators. Can we move ahead from here, guys? Can we tackle up the next challenge that we have? You can show me a quick thumbs up, guys, if that is all making sense and we can move ahead from now on. We can move ahead, right? All right then. All right. Next up is something about logical operators, right? Which I am guessing many of the people already know this, but since that is an important discussion, I'll quickly run you through over that also. We have logical operators, right? Logical operators may basically we have three operators, right? First being your AND operator, right? Which is even represented using double aspect send, right? Yeah. Now, second up we have is an OR operator, right? Which is even represented using this pipeline, right? We use two, what do you say? We use two lines to represent an OR operator, right? Now, can you quickly tell me that, what do you understand if I say AND, right? Suppose I say that, I'll normally talk about normal English language, or I'll even talk about normal, whatever language you understand. In that, suppose I'll say, doing question number one, do question number one and question number two. What would you understand? Would you say that the person has to attempt both the first question also, the second question also, or the person has a choice to attend maybe the first question or the second question? What do you think? What would be the case? Is the first option correct, or is the second option making more sense to you? I hope you would say that AND means both the condition, right? Including first one and including second one also. Right, isn't it? Yes, exactly. So if you are able to understand this, right, AND means both the conditions, right? Both conditions, or both the operands, or both the conditions, right? Yes, exactly. Aishwarya, in that scene, right? Normally speaking, right? In case you receive your maybe college examination, you receive your school examination or any kind of examination, right? They'll say ki doing question number one and question number two is mandatory. That clearly means you have to attempt both the question, then only you are going to get the marks, right? So that's why I would say whenever you see an AND operator, that means both the conditions should be true, then only you'll be proceeding ahead, right? Now at this particular point, I am guessing that you guys would have been, you guys would be having a confusion that what does that even mean, right? What does that even mean, as in, like, where are we going to place these conditions? How can we check these conditions? So don't worry about that point. Just assume, just take this into your mind that and means both the condition, right? Once in a minute, right? Within few minutes, I'll be introducing you about the conditional statement. Then over there, these operators will be very much in use, right? We'll be extensively using these operators. So don't worry on that point. Just assume and means both the conditions. Again, as usual, suppose you would receive a question paper and it says you have to do question number 1 or do question number 2, or maybe attempt question number 1 or attempt question number 2. In that scenarios, you are given with a choice that either of the question you can do, right? In case you do the first question, you'll also be getting true. In case you do the second question, you'll also be getting a true, or maybe you'll also be getting passed, or you'll also be getting marks for that, right? So or means either of them could become true, right? Either of the condition. I hope that is making 100% sense to you all. Now, if that is yes, right, there is a third operator also. There is a third logical operator also, that is basically an not operator, right? Or we call this as not, or we call this as exclamatory sign. We write this as, right? It's basically negation, right? I mean, I hope you have seen these like negative peoples around you also, right? At least I have a few of them, right, in my group, in my in my in my group of friends, right? Or in general life also, right? Whatever you say to them, they always try to give a negative perspective of that, right? Suppose I say that, dude, I'm doing this on that and that, and they'll be pointing out some negative things out of that, right? Just like that it works, although not like I cannot relate it directly with a person, but the thing is that if it is true, right, it will convert that into a negative situation, that is a false situation. If that is false already, right, it will convert that into a true situation. This is what I mean by a negation operator, right? Exactly. So this is about all the logical operators, right? This is about basically all the operators that we have discussed. I hope all of this is making 100% sense to you all till this point, right? If that is yes, right, I have one other special operators, right? Few other special operators for you, right? Let me show you what are these operators, right? Quick, you can give me a quick thumbs up if you feel like all of this is making sense. And also, guys, the question that we are discussing, the concept that we are discussing today, right, this could be a part of the next day's quiz also, right? So don't assume that whatever you'll be discussing in the next class only, that will be the only thing, right, that will be coming in the quiz, right? And I don't know about you guys, but I'm damn excited about the quiz, right? Because you get to attempt the quiz live, right? You get to see who is winning, who is leading with each and every question. And it's basically like, I hope all of you have seen this KBC, right? It's basically Kaun Banega Crorepati, right? I don't know about the the south part of the India, but at least in north part of India, that's very famous, right? That's very popular. So we have something what is fastest finger four, something like this, right? Something like that is going to be happening in the Spirit platform, right, in the next session, right? So I hope you'll be definitely be excited for that, right? At least I'm definitely excited. I'll hope I'm guessing to see you all over there also. Anyways, up next we have some other operators, right? There is something called as unary operators. Unary operator means that, unary operators means that which works only one operand, right? Which works on only one operand. Operand means, whatever we want to, we want to have an operation on. Suppose I would say that I want to, add two numbers, right? I want to do an addition operation, right? Suppose I want to do an addition operation. I want to do a minus operation. I want to do multiplication operation. All of this requires me what? All of this requires two operand for me, right? Two operands. Two operands mean that you need to have two values at least to sum something, to reduce something, or to multiply or divide anything, something like that, isn't it? But what if I tell you that there are some operators, right, which don't require you to have two values, right, which don't require you to have two things? You can get an operation on only one value, right, one operand. That are called as your unary operators, right? What are these operators? These operators are basically simply plus plus, minus minus, right? These are basic unary operator that we have. Although we have all these other operators also, right? We have ternary operators, we have all these operators, but for the simplicity, I'm just giving you, I'm just giving you few examples around it, right? Just to spice things up, just to spice some things for you, and also to make you curious and, you know, to make you fall in love with programming at least, right? I hope you understand my perspective as of now. Anyways, so these are basically, you know, unary operators, right? One example of that could be, suppose you have a equals to 10. Assume that you have a equals to 10 and you want to increment it. You want to just increment the value of a from 10 to 11. How could you do it? You could do it two ways. You could do plus plus a. It is option number one. Or you could do a plus plus. Right? Both of them are unary. This is also unary. But there is a significant difference between both of them. Right? What is the difference? Can anyone tell me that? I hope majority of the people over here, majority of the people over here has an idea about it. Let's see. All right. So basically, let me reveal that for you because there is a lag, right? I'll speak something after 10 or 20 seconds, it will reach to you. And again, your answer will reach back to me into 10 or 20 seconds, right? I'm assuming you guys will tell me the answer, you know, by the time I'm disclosing it to you. Basically, this is called as your pre-increment, right? This is basically called as pre-increment. I'm just writing pre-inc, that means pre-increment. Yeah, second one means that post-increment. As the name suggests, right? Pre-increment means that, you know, first of all, you are incrementing the variable and then you are storing it somewhere. And then you are maybe printing it, or then maybe you are doing something out of it. Right? Next is basically post-increment. Post means, first of all, you are, you know, printing it, you are storing it somewhere, and then you are incrementing it. That's the major difference. Right? Now, I'll quickly do one thing. I'll just give you one example to solidify this example, to solidify this particular concept. Right? All right, let's see that. All of you know, right? Let me remove all of this other non-necessary stuff from here. Let me also remove this thing. And let's do one thing, right? Let's try to do one thing. Let's try to print a plus plus. Now, I want to know, right? What do you think? What would be the answer for that? Right? Will it be 11 or will it be 10 only, or will it be something else? Will it be 9 or what do you think will be the answer for that? Again, I'll not wait for your answers, right? Because I told you that there is a lag, right? I'll assume that you will be giving me the answers in the chat. Okay, people are saying that please zoom into the zoom. Zoom into the screen. Yeah, there you have it. Right. So as expected, right? What would we be getting is, we would be getting, let's run that for you, right? Let's see. Few people are saying that it will print 11. Okay. I just did one mistake. All of you were incorrect, right? It would not print anything. It would give me an error. Anyways, jokes apart. Yeah. All right. Yes, I am doing some mistakes over here. That should be age. Yeah, that should be age. So sorry, guys. Yeah. Can you see this? It is still printing 10. Does that mean our plus plus operator is not working? Answer is no, it is working. Let's do that one more time. Let's try to print the same statement, but this time let's not print anything. Let's try to print what is the value of age now. First of all, we have tried printing it with a plus plus operator. We found that, okay, it might be working, it might not be working. So just to check it one more time, I'll do one more thing. I'll try to print it here. Right? Let's try to run it. And can you see this? I hope you can see this, that now it is printing 11. There is no space in between, but let's do one thing. Let's give a space like this way. Let's print it one more time. And I hope you can see that the first value is 10. Second value we are printing is 11, right? That clearly means the value was getting updated, but since we are using a post increment, that's why first of all it was it was printing the value and then it was incrementing it, right? Yes, exactly. I hope that clears your point. Right, that solidifies your concept around it. Let's take another value. Let's take maybe num, and let's set it to 100. Let's try to see the same example with this pre-increment, and let's say that post increment. Right, I'll be first of all commenting this out. because we don't need this now. Instead of this, I'll write plus plus num now, and I'll just try to print the value of num. Now, what do you think, guys? What would be the answer over here? Will it still print the same thing, right? 100 and 101, or will it print something else? I hope you will be able to answer this, right? By the time I'll run this, I'll execute it. And there we have it, right? We can see that it is 101 and 101. This time it has incremented first of all and then printed the value, right? Exactly. Similarly, there is no change in the next value because the value was already incremented, right? So there is no need to, yeah. No, Anjali, it will be 101 and 101, not 101 and 100. Why would it be 100? The value is incremented, right? So that's why both of the answer will have 101 with them. So that's how you work around with pre-increment and post-increments. The similar scenario, exactly the same scenario is there with the pre-decrement and post-decrement. I hope all of you have got an idea about that. Right? So yeah, that being said, right, that concludes our discussion on operators, right? At least our limited discussion on operators as of now. Right? More of this, right, we can definitely discuss, but to make it more interesting for you all, to make it little, just to give you gist of the language, we are selecting few topics only, right? I hope you understand this thing. All right, then. If that all is making sense, we can move ahead with our next point, right? With our next discussion, that is our conditionals, right? Let me open up my whiteboard. Therein I'll be able to, give you a better idea about it, better clarity about it. Yeah, few people are still writing 10. Guys, I've changed the value, right? This is not 10 now, it is 100. All right, let's do it. What do we want over here? We want to see about conditionals, right? Now, what is this thing called as conditional, right? What do you understand if I write about conditional? If I write this terminology of conditional, I hope you would say that conditional will mean that depending upon any condition, something will execute, right? I would rather write it as conditional statements, right? So suppose I would say one thing, let's take a very layman example, right? Very non-techy example. Suppose you wanted to vote, right? I hope you know that, there are elections going on throughout the India, right? Not throughout the whole India, but in some part of India, there are elections going on. Suppose in case you want to have, you want to vote out for your favorite political party or your for favorite ideology, right? In that scenarios, maybe, suppose you want to go out and vote. What is the first question that somebody is going to ask you? They would ask you, dude, are you 18 years of age or not? Right? There could be certain scenarios. First scenario would be, no, you're not 18 years of age, right? You're below 18 years of age. Second thing could be, yeah, you are exactly 18 years of age and you've just crossed your 18-year age. That would be a certain scenario, right? You have to get your voter ID card. You have to get yourself registered into that, election list or something. Other thing could be you are already 18 years of age, right? You have exceeded the age, and you also have got your voter's ID also, right? In that situation only, then you are allowed to vote. I hope you are getting the idea about where are we going, right? First thing is, there could be conditionals, right? How can you take these conditionals into action is, there are two ways of taking it. First is something called as if-else ladder. If-else statement or if-else ladder. Right? If-else statement will mean that something like this, right? You would say that somebody will ask if you are 18 years of age or not. You would say, no, I'm not 18 years of age, right? Then you are not allowed to vote, right? You would fall back in the else situation that say that if you're not 18 years of age, you will not be able to allow vote. Something like this, right? Second thing is about switch cases, right? I'll talk about this later because this needs to be, there need to be a little more intensive discussion going on in this statement, right? Switch statement. Yes. These are two ways how we can tackle up these conditional statement as of now, right, in C or generally in normal programming languages, right? In if else, how does it work is, now I'm trying to write a simple loose example, right? I'm not going into the syntactical part. I'm just trying to write Yeah, if you have two or more condition answers according to condition, we will, yes, exactly, right. Once we are into the conditional, we can use our logical operators within inside this also, right? I hope you are now able to connect the dots, right? Why I was telling that, these and operators, or operators, nor operators, not operators will be used over here. I'll tell about that later. But first of all, I'm trying to write a very loose example over here. I would say, dude, if the age is greater than 18 or not, if that is the scene, what would you do? You would say that allowed to vote, right? Let me make it much simpler. Then you are allowed to vote. Else, if you are not 18 years of above of age, what would you do? You would say that not allowed to vote. That's it, right? Or maybe one very simple example I can take is that suppose you want to go to a club or you want to go to movies, right? There could be two situations. You have got the pass, you have got the ticket, or you have not got the ticket. Right? If you have got the pass, you will be allowed inside the arena. If you have not got the pass or not the tickets, you will not be allowed to go within inside it. Right? So that's the simple example, right? And I hope all of you are able to make this simple decision that in else part we don't need to give a condition. Do we need to give a condition into else part? Answer is no. Why? Because else is a fallback situation, right? In case none of the condition is matching, then you have to go to the else part. So that does not make any sense of having a condition inside a else part, right? That's the one thing. Another one thing which is interesting is, let's first of all do this thing. Let's try to execute this thing. Let's try to see that can we do this? Can we program this? Can we write this stuff over here? I'm sure we can do this. Let's see how we can do it. I am going to just remove this pre-increment and post-increment stuff because I want to keep my screen a little clear. I would be writing if the age is greater than 18, then he should be allowed to do something, right? We will decide what we would do over here, but he should be allowed to vote, or he should be allowed to do something out of it. Else, right, he should not be allowed to do something. Not allowed to vote. If that is the case, we should be allowing him to the vote. Allowed to vote. Now, obviously, we are not, writing the election commission's algorithm, right? So we'll not be able to, push him to the polling station or something like that. But we can do one thing is we can write some simple print statement so that we can tell the user that, okay, are you eligible to vote or not, right? Yeah. So we will do one thing. We'll just print the statement, right? We'll just say that, you are allowed to vote. Right? That being said, I can just write the same statement in the else part saying that you are not allowed to vote. I hope that is making 100% sense to you all till this point. Right? All right. But there is one more catch. Suppose you don't want to just print this information. You want to have some other information stuff. You want to attach some other information around here. How can you do that? Is in your else part, you will attach a scope. You will attach an area, right? You'll attach the boundary of this. How will you attach it? You will attach it using this parenthesis. You'll this curly braces, right? From where you want to start this condition until where you want to go this if part, you have to surround this using these curly braces, right? I mean, you can do this normally without it also if you have one statement, but it is advised to use this because, yeah, in some of the other cases, you might have different conditions. Now, let's quickly check that if, it is working fine or not. What do you think? What is coming up? It is saying that you're not allowed to vote. Why? Because the age we have considered right now is 10, right? That's a simple example. Let's try one other thing. Let's say that if we are 100 years of age, let's assume a wild case scenario that, I am 100 years of age and I'm trying to go out to vote. Let's say that if the election commission allows me to vote or not. Let's do that. And can you see this? It is saying that you are allowed to vote, right? That clearly means the conditional is working properly, right? Both the statement are not getting printed, isn't it? Only one statement, which is following the condition, is executing. Now, let's take a wild case scenario. That is, maybe we want to say that if you are 18 years of age, if you are above 18 years of age, you should be allowed to vote. If you are below 18, you should not be allowed to vote. But in case you're just 18 years of age, you have to do some other thing. You have to get your IDs done first of all. In that scenario, what can you do? In that scenario, you can extend this conditionals, right, using an if-else letter, and you can write else if, right? This is an additional condition that we are writing in between. It says that if first part is not true and you don't directly want to go to the, you don't directly want to go to the else block, first of all, you want to check out for other condition, which is if the age is exactly equals to 18. In that scenarios, what should we do? We should ask the user, go get your voters ID registered. Something like this. Right? Yes, else if, exactly. Let's see that. Oh, now we have chosen the age as exactly 18 years of age, right? Let's see that. Let's run this. I hope you can see that. Go get your voters ID registered, right? That's how you can use the conditionals, right? And I hope that's very simple and pretty intuitive, right? Isn't it? Yes. So that being said, right, that's the simplest use case of an if-else letter or else-if letter, whatever you want to call it, right? That's a simple use case of that. But let's do another thing, right? Let's do one thing. That suppose you want to say that, you want to attach other conditions also. Maybe what do you want to attach is you want to check that if we are 18 years of age, right, and maybe we have our voters ID done or not, something like this. Can you do this? Can we use our logical operators over here, guys? I hope you are able to figure out what I am trying to explain. Yes, let me let me set up the background for that. I'll do one thing. I'll just add a character. I'll say that char voter ID, and I'll just give this as yes or no. I'm assuming that I already have a voter's ID, right? I'm assuming that I have a voter ID, so that's why I've written Y over there. What I want to do is I just want to say that if you are 18 years of age and then you have a voter's ID also, then only you'll be allowed to vote. Else you'll not be able to allow to vote. How would you do it, guys? Can you help me out into writing this condition? Can you into modifying this condition? I hope you can help me out. We'll be using our logical and we will say that if voter ID equals to Y, in that sense only we'll be able to allow to vote, right? Else we'll not be able to allow to vote. Let's tweak the situation now. Let's say that now we are 80 years of old, right? Assume that we are 80 years of old and we don't have our voter ID done. We don't have our voters. Just a minute. Yeah. I'm changing this to no, right? I'm saying that the voter ID is not available to the user. The user does not have any voter ID. What do you think? What should be the output in that scenario? Will it print you are allowed to vote, or will it print no, you are not allowed to vote, or some other conditions will happen? Quickly, guys. I will run this. I'll assume you will be giving answers behind the scenes. And what it is printing? It is printing that you are not allowed to vote. Why we are not allowed to vote? See, we are clearly 80 years of age, right? 80 years of age is definitely larger than 18, right? Which is far, far beyond 18 years of age. But we are not allowed to vote because we don't have the second condition fulfilled. The second condition is not being fulfilled now. Yeah, that's why we are not allowed to vote. Right? Now let's change the situation for a minute. Let's say that, you want to just make sure, again, this is not a real situation, right? Don't assume I'm saying that, right? Let's first of all change it to yes. First of all, let's see that, if it works in real case scenario or not. See, it is working, right? If I'm changing it to Y, that means both the condition are true. The age is also greater than that. And the second value is also true. The voter ID is also Y. That's why we are allowed to vote. Let's change one scenario, right? Let's say that again, the voter ID is not there, but I'm using a wild case scenario wherein I'm just checking if the user has the age fulfilled or if the user has the voter ID fulfilled. If either of the situation is true, right? then we will say that the user will be allowed to vote. Let's do one thing. Let's say that maybe the age of the user is 0. Right? Assume this is a wild case scenario, guys, right? The age of the user is 0 and the user has the voter ID card. What do you think? Will the user be allowed to vote? Yes or not? Looking into this situation, don't assume the real life situation. I know in real life situation, nothing like this happens, that a 0 year of age person has a voter ID card. Assume this according to the situation. Yeah, they will be allowed to vote. Let's quickly check it once more time. And yes, they are allowed to vote, right? How they are allowed to vote? Because we are using an OR operator now. And either of the condition is true, right? It will allow us to move ahead. Now, that sums up our conditionals, right? That sums up our if-else later, that sums up our logical operators, right? Cool. I hope you all have got this point 100%, like fully, right? All right. Chalo then. If all of this is making sense, right? We can move ahead with the next discussion. That is about the switch cases, right? What are these switch cases? So, I hope I'm damn sure that you guys have, you guys have seen the buttons, right? You guys have seen electronic switches. What are the switch cases? I mean, what could be the condition of your, of a button? In ideal case scenario, your button could have only two situations. One, it could be off, one, it could be on, right? If the button is off, what can you assume? You can assume that, okay, the electricity is off, or maybe the bulb is off, the bulb is not glowing. If the electrical switch is on, that means, the bulb is glowing, right? On and off could be situation. This is a one simple thing, right? Yeah. Now, yeah, on and off. But I'll not just go by two conditions, because, life we want more options, right? We don't want to settle for two options only. Yeah. So for that, we can say that, we can have multiple states of the button. States, as in we can say if the case of button is 1, if the case of button is 2, 3, 4, something like this. In that particular, I mean, I'm damn sure about not of the normal buttons, but you have seen these regulators or something like this, isn't it? You have seen these regulators, right? You have number 1, you have 2, 3, 4, 5, something like this, 7, 8, something like this, right? About the regulators, right? I'm not sure if, the regulator comes with these much options or not, but there are options, right? There could be possibilities. If the regulator is at 0, that means if the regulator is at 1, that means, yeah, that means, the bulb will not glow, the fan will not run. If the regulator is at 1, that means the fan will run, but at a lower speed. Again, all of this signifies a condition for that. Yes, exactly. The same thing we can do. Obviously, we are not going to run fans using our operators. I mean, using our switch statement. But anyways, we'll be doing something around that. Yeah, I'll do one thing. I'll just remove all of this because we have done it. Right. And I would say that I would use character days. I would use this one thing. I would say that the character days. What is the current day? I think this is Wednesday, right? So I'm just denoting it with W. I just want to print something. I just want to say that what is the value in the day, right? I have to denote, okay, there would be confusion because Tuesday and Thursday both are having T, and obviously Saturdays and Sunday will obviously be having SNS. Let's do one thing. Let's see that. Let's do one thing. Yeah, almost it's like if it's letter, let's say one simple thing. Let's ABC, let's do this, right? ABCD, let's do for the 4 simple thing. I mean, although we can do with strings also, but I don't want to go into the string as of now. Assume that we want to have a switch case. This is a syntax of how we write it, right? This is a syntax. Don't worry about this. I'll explain this. This is how you run a switch case. This is how you, import. This is how you basically set up a switch case on any variable. You have to write the name of the variable over here. Next up is basically setting up the case. The case could be the probable value of this, right? Case could be the value of variable could be A, right? Case could be the value of variable could be B. Case could be C. Oops. Something like this. For the simplicity, I'm just keeping 4 cases as of now. Although you would say that there could be 26 things possible. But for the simplicity, let's take that one. Right. So what it is happening right now is that it is just checking the variable across all the probable cases. Probable cases could be the value of the value of day could be a, the value of a day could be b, c, or d. In case the value of a is in case the value of day is a, you have to print something like this. Oops, I have to write this inside the double quotes. Value of day is a, something like this. Yes, I can just get this thing printed out this way, right? Now almost this is how, yeah, this is almost how we can run a switch case, right? I'm saying almost because there are some edge case condition falling on, right? Because this is not 100% foolproof. Let's see one thing, guys. What do you think? What would be the answer, right? If I told you that if the value of a is if the value of day variable is a, it should print the first line. If the value of variable is b, it should print the second line. If the value of c, if the value is c, it should print this one. Or if the value is d, it should print that one, right? This is what we are expecting ideally. What would happen if I run this? Will this work perfectly fine, or will there be any problems? Oh, okay, all right. Thanks for the heads up, guys. I just blindly copy the statement. Copy paste is very simple. Control C, Control V. Let's run this, right? And can you see this? I'm sure you can see this, right? There is something wrong going on. All of these values is getting printed, isn't it? That is not something we wanted. We only wanted to print a, right? The value of day is a, because the value is effectively a, right? We don't want to print all of the values. Like, will this happen for all the situation? Let's try to check. Let's try to see if I write b or if I write c only, what would happen. Let's run it. Now something else is coming up, right? You can see the value of c is happening and the value of d is happening. Now we can conclude from this particular example is that yes, if I execute one case, all of the following cases, all of the cases that will come up ahead of it will be executed by default, right? Yeah, for that we have to use a break statement, right? That is our next topic. I mean, that is a topic that we'll be taking now. Is that what is a break statement effectively? Breaks is a statement, first of all, right? And what does a break statement does it? Whenever you are within a loop or whenever you are within a statement, right? And you write something, you write you reach a condition, right? You reach a condition from where you want to just break out of the current loop or break out of the current situation. For that situations, you are going to use a break. You are going to use a break statement, right? Which will break out of the current loop or the current statement. That's it, right? That's as simple as I can put as of now. And now this is foolproof, right? If I run this, yes, now it is working perfectly fine. No other case is getting executed. Yeah, exactly. Right. So I hope switch case is also making 100% sense to you all. Is it? Now there is one more thing to that, right? That is basically default cases, right? What are default cases? Default cases are basically, suppose none of the condition is working, right? If the value of a, let's do that. Let's say that the value of day is x. Assume that for a minute. What would happen in that scenario? Will any of this get printed out? No, nothing is getting printed out. But we want to say that maybe if the value is not in that range, we should print something else. To tell that, dude, you are not into the right area, we should write a default case. It should say value not in range. Something like this, right? As soon as I do this, what is going to happen is that if I run over any other cases, my default case is going to handle that for me, and it is just going to print a statement for me. Yeah, exactly, right? Value not in range is coming up very nicely. So that's about the conditionals, right? I hope you have got the switch case also. Is it done, guys? Making 100% sense? Now you can quickly give me a thumbs up, right? If all of this is making sense, or the logical operators made sense, the conditional made sense, and then we will move ahead and we'll see a quick introduction about the loops, right? What are loops and how we can use it? Yeah, it's almost about the C++, exactly. Almost like the C++. If that is making 100% sense, you can quickly give me a thumbs up, right? That will also like let me know, okay, you guys are understanding this correctly. All right. That's really good to see. Positive acknowledgements. All right. Now, let's move ahead, right? Let's tackle up another situation. That suppose, right? I'll tell you, yeah, I'll give you one task to print numbers starting from 1 till 10. Yeah, I'll be giving you the attendance just in a minute, right? Let me do that first of all, because few people are very anxious about it. Let's do that. And I'll still say that, just be there, because we are tackling up another concept, that is, yeah, just one more concept I'll be taking, don't worry, not more than that. A very simple introduction I want to just take, right? About loops. More of this we'll do in the next class, but see, I am damn sure that you guys have seen the star patterns, the pattern printing stuff. You have to print a half triangle, you have to print a full triangle, you have to print this triangle, you have to print that, or something like this. Right? I'm damn sure you have done that. And you might have stuck a lot of times over there. Right? Because I personally have been into that situation. So the next class is going to be a very extensive class on the loops and all these patterns. And I can say this for sure. I can guarantee this as of now, is that once you view the next upcoming class, right, you'll not have any confusion around printing any sort of pattern, right? You'll be able to comfortably print any kind of pattern. But just to set up a base, or just to set up a basic foundation for that, I'm just delivering the basics of loops in this class. I hope you'll be patient enough. Just a 5 or 6 more minutes I'll take just to introduce the stuff for you. Cool. Now then, let me answer me that question, right, which I was asking earlier, that what if you want to print any number, right? You want to print numbers from 1 till 10. How would you print it? You would say that I would just write this. I would write the value of number. I would write n, then I would do n plus plus, and then I'll do this again multiple number of times. Isn't it? Something like this you'll be doing, right? I don't know how many times I printed it, but I think I've printed it fair amount of time. Can you see this? We are printing number up till 11, right? Let's say that, let's also give a simple space. Yeah, loop we'll be using, but I'm just asking that if you know all these basic things only, right? I know that few people know about loops already, but just in case you are not sure about the loops, right? What would you do in that situation? This is what I was trying to ask. In case you don't know about loops, you would have to do something like this, right? Isn't it? Something like this, where we have not given a space. Yeah, we have not given a space over here. Yes. Now, this is making sense, but whatever you have to print the numbers up till 100 or up till 2000, definitely using this method is definitely not a good idea, right? Isn't it? You can print up till a limit only, right? You cannot print until 100, 1000 or something like this. Or this is just a simple example of printing a same number multiple number of times. What if you have a table to print, right? Just a mathematical table to print, or all these other things. So for that, you would be using, yes, you would be using loops. Now, what do you understand by the loop? What comes to your mind when I say loop, right? Loop is basically, it's a basically iterative thing, or it's a basically, continuous thing, right? Something like this, you'll say this as a loop, right? This is a loop. Basically, you are at the starting point. You are maybe starting point, you are doing some preparation, you are doing some stuff. Again, you are rotating the same stuff. You are coming back to the original position, then doing some starting stuff, and then going back and back and back and back again. Yeah, back and back again. Obviously, you have to do some upgradation. You have to do some other things also, right? That is very what do you say? That is very intuitive thing, because if you're not upgrading, if you're not changing something, what is going to happen? The same condition you'll be running over and over and over again, and you'll not be able to terminate out of this condition. So we have two conditions, right? We have certain things. First thing is initialization, conditional check, or maybe third thing is basically upgradation, or maybe yeah, I can write upgradation. Because if there is no conditional check or if there is no upgradation, you are going to be endlessly stuck over this loop, right? You will not be able to come out of the loop, which we don't want, right? We don't want our computer to endlessly go into a process and never come out of that. Obviously, if you have some, something planned according to that, you want your computer to go into an infinity loop, and then you want to do something out of it. It's totally up to you. But I would not suggest, or I don't think there would be any good reason to make your computer go into infinite loop. Right. So there are three conditions, right? Basically initialization, conditional check, and upgradation. I'll just give you one example of a loop, right? Which will help us to maintain this in a very easy and very nice way. Yeah. People are saying about the for loop. I'll not be using for loop because that is a little too much as of now. I'll just be using a while loop as of now. Right. A while loop, right? While is basically you are saying that, while a condition is true, just try to repeat the below statement. Just repeat the following set of statement. This is what a while loop does, right? Let me write that for you. How would you write a while loop is, you would say that while, and you would give a condition inside it. Condition could be anything. You would say that while number is, less than 10, something like this, or maybe less than equals to 10. If this is a condition, what would we be doing is, would be simply printing the value of printf, would be simply printing the value of %d space and n. This is what we want to do, right? Is this foolproof? Will this work? Let's see that. And trust me, guys, something is going to be breaking now, right? Something wrong is going to happen. Something terrible is going to happen. Let's see that. All right. Can you see this? This is an endless loop going on and on and on, which is printing 1 every time. I hope that does make sense why it is printing 1 every time. Because, we are trying to print the value. Again, we are checking that if the value of n is less than 10 or not. Again, the value of n is 1 again, right? Which is still equals to or less than 10. So it will print 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 over and over again. So as soon as we printed it, we have to upgrade it, right? We have to say that now please increment the value of n by 1, right? This. Now the updated value of 1 will become 2 now. Again, it will check if the 2 is less than 10 or not. Yes, 2 is less than 10. That's why it will again execute 2. Again, same thing will go on and on and on and on until you reach a condition wherein 10 is hit, right? After 10 is hit, you cannot print ahead because now the value will become 11. Let's see that into action. Yes. So you can see that just by writing 3-4 line of code, we have successfully printed a number. And not only this, in case you want to print the numbers up till 100, you just have to change one condition and there you have it. See, the numbers are printed directly without any problem until 100, right? Exactly. So that's one simple example, one very simple example of how would you use a while loop. And how could you use a loop to possibly do many of the things, right? And loops are very beautiful, right? You can do most of your stuff using loops. So that's basically about the whole class, about this whole class, right? Now I think we can end the class as of now, right? Because we are, we have hit the timer, right? Now in the upcoming class, as I've told earlier, there are going to be some really cool thing going on. First is we'll be discussing these star patterns. We'll be discussing, how we can print any of this pattern, whatever pattern, right? Doesn't matter if you have to print a small symbol, you have to print a larger pattern or something. Second thing is we'll be having a quiz from the next class, right? I hope all of you would be, interested about that. And we are not, we are just not false claiming or something. We will definitely give you goodies, but obviously the first winner only, right? We cannot, as of now, we cannot afford to give goodies to every user which participates into the quiz. But maybe hopefully in the coming time, we would be able to do that also. But yeah. And second thing is about the pattern. I hope you all will be excited for the next class. At least I'm super, super excited. With that note, I am ending the class. I'm ending the stream as of now. I hope you have enjoyed the session. Yeah. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Have a very, really good night. Right? Bye bye, everyone.